What is going on, friends, fans, and fam? Welcome back to the South by East podcast, where we talk about the culture, scriptures, and everything in between. I saw this interesting video on Facebook. I don't remember if Jonathan shared this one with me or if I caught this one on my own, but it was simple and sweet and had a great message in it. So I figured I'd share it with you guys. Let's unpack it.
What you do in private shows public. Reading shows in a conversation. Your diet shows in energy. Your discipline shows in confidence. Your focus shows in your results. You are what you cultivate when no one's watching.
You are what you cultivate when no one is watching. I'm interested to see if you guys have ever experienced this, because I know I have. I have walked into, being on stage is the easiest way to explain it. One of my worst nightmares is this nightmare where I'm going on stage and I have an important or leading role in a show, like in a musical or play, and I do not know my lines. It's opening night. Everyone is ready to see it. Everyone's ready to hear it. Everyone else is doing their thing. They're killing it. And it's time for me to go out there. And I am backstage like, let me borrow. I don't even have my script. Let me borrow your script. Like, what? Yeah, do you have it? It's in your book bag. Where are we at? Because I need to look at that script and I'm trying to memorize the lines before I walk out on stage. That is a reoccurring nightmare. I still have that nightmare to this day. I haven't been in a play in probably over 10 years. I still have that nightmare to this day. But not being prepared is something that really scares me. However, especially in high school, I was an airhead. I almost never knew what was really going on in my life. And the reason I have that nightmare is because I have actually been at a dress rehearsal for a play where I had not finished the entire script. I was in a dress rehearsal and my character didn't seem that important. Turns out, in the last two scenes of the play, he ends up being the person that everyone was looking for, and he was undercover. And like the name of the show is like Agatha Christie and the Inspector Incognito. I found out the week of the performance, I was the Inspector Incognito, which really changed the way that I played that character. And I almost walked on stage and had no idea what this play was about that we were going to do for our family and friends. I think I was in the 7th grade or something like that. So I was pretty young, but it's just an airhead. And I had times like that in my life where big important things happen and I somehow, my charisma, whatever, I just finessed people into thinking I was ready, and it came time and I was not ready. And that really stinks. And the difference between having charisma and having confidence really is preparation. It is having preparation. It's different when you're telling people and when you can put on the face that you know what you're doing, but back behind you got the hamster wheel running, trying to come up with ideas, kind of come up with deflections. And that's a skill. Don't get me wrong. That's a skill that you have to have. If you want to be successful in public or be able to debate, things like that, it's a skill you have to have. But also it's a whole other feeling. As I got older, I was put in situations where I was mentored and discipled by people who taught me the discipline of preparation. And when I walked into a room, I didn't have the hamster wheel running. I walked into the room with a quiet confidence, knowing that I could say whatever I needed to say, do whatever I needed to do, knowing that I knew the topic backwards and forward. And then I could really focus on whatever everyone else was doing, what everyone else was saying, instead of being in defense mode, because the whole time people are talking, I'm going, all right, how am I going to work this? How am I going to make this happen? Because I know that I haven't done the preparation. The power of habits is so underrated. And there's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. You will hear, I've seen Method Man reference this book. I have seen my man, David Banner. Cadillacs on 22. I've seen David Banner reference this book here in the last probably like 5 years. There is a special place that habits have started to hold in my life. In that book, they talk about a few really key things, but one of them is habit stacking. And habit stacking is kind of easy. It's taking something that you need to do and pairing it up with something that you want to do or have to do and making that a habit. For me, I struggled to get up in the mornings. I knew that in the morning I never wanted to pick out my clothes, so it took me forever, that I'd be late to work. It was just a thing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to pick out my clothes before I go to bed. Sounds simple, but if you don't do that, and I told you to do that tonight, you would understand it's hard to do something new, and that's not a habit, right? So I just kept not doing it. So I read this book, and it was like, oh, habit stacking. Okay, whenever the kids go take their shower, because I had 2 under 2 at the time. Bedtime was a struggle. It would take 30 minutes. You got to take them showers. My son does not like to do it. He might have ODD. It's a whole deal. And so I'm like, okay, while I'm waiting for them to do whatever they're supposed to do, I'll pick out my clothes for the next day. Because that's when I'm the most hype. I got the most energy. I'm just going to pick out my clothes for the next day, set them either on the edge of my bed or right next to my bed so that while I'm still warm, I can just grab them clothes and slide them on. And then I can't use the excuse of me being cold. I'm uncomfortable because I'm dressed. It makes me get out of bed. Started doing that. To this day, I started doing that was probably 2-3 years ago. To this day, when it comes to time, I don't even always have to give my kids showers now. When it comes to the time of night, around 7:30, when I would normally be putting my kids to bed, well, between 6:30 and 7, my brain goes, it's time to pick out your clothes. I have built a habit to where now that is a natural part of my night. I have to prepare for my next day. If I don't, my brain is just going off. It's an alarm in my head. It has truly changed the way that my brain is wired, and that's just from using the power of habits. One of the things the book talks about is that you can never overcome your environment. If you're in an environment where things are constantly chaotic, things are constantly disorganized, things are constantly running behind, you will reflect those things. There's no way around it. Because every time you need to be on time, you're going to have to build up a high amount of energy to overcome everything else that's around you. And you're going to have a hard time, doing that. But you might be able to do it once. But what you're going to find that is difficult to do is to sustain it. Sustaining something like that is difficult. But when you transform your environment into a space where that promotes the success you want to see, then it's a game changer. Because it doesn't matter how strong that plant is, it can't overcome the soil. It has to have what it needs around it in its environment. And that's why I think it's so true what she's saying. Like, man, when you're reading books, that's going to show in your confidence. Because you know what's going on. You know how to speak about it. You're constantly filling your mind up with things that are relevant to topics that you need to speak on. Man, when you're practicing, when you come out to do whatever it is that you need to do, that is going to show when you're constantly putting in habits and building and cultivating a life around you that leads to success, you're going to find that success. It's almost inevitable. It's almost inevitable because you can't overcome the soil. But I want to hear about you guys. What is one habit in your life that serves you super well? If you stop doing it, it would jack things up for you. Also, and it can be just in fun stuff. It can be habits you do to make you good at basketball. It doesn't have to be something super serious, life-changing. But what's one habit like that? And then what is one habit that you know you really need to stop? And you probably don't realize how bad it actually is for you. And you don't want to think about it today. And I'm not going to make you. But I want to see both. What's one great habit that you can't do without? What is one habit that you probably need to drop off into the trash can? Would love to hear about it, man. Comment, especially on Facebook in our community that we're building. We love having you there. Continue to like, comment, and share. The comments and the shares are super duper important. Continue to do that. Like and subscribe on Facebook. Follow us on, or like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. And we'll see you here next week in the intersection.